Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes!
This is the Ross Kaminsky Show.
You're a great American.
Now, Ross Kaminsky.
Come on, man.
On Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW.
One thing I think I'll probably miss when I'm over at the other place is not having producer Shannon hand me a piece of paper that says what national day it is. Let me just give you the little update here. National Parents' Day off. Oh, I wish. National Cream-Filled Donut Day. That sounds like something I will need to do after the show. Shannon, if you're going to be here, maybe I'll get you one and bring you one. You want a cream-filled donut? Would you eat one if I got you one?
If I may call my shot, Lamar's.
Is there one nearby? Or do I have to go all the way to Littleton to...
It's just the best.
I know. If it's not Lamar's, does that mean you won't eat it?
No, look at me.
Yeah. All right. So, and do you like... What if they have a donut that has chocolate cream inside? Is that preferable, or is it a flip of a coin for you?
Flip of a coin. Anything from lemon to Bavarian.
Bavarian's good. All right.
I'll just double my meds.
I've got a little meeting after the show today with some people, but then I will go get you a cream-filled donut and come back. How late are you going to be here today?
At least noon.
At least noon. All right, I'll be back before then. National Eat a Hoagie Day. I won't have room for a hoagie after the cream-filled donut. We got to keep our priorities straight. National Live Creative Day. I'm not creative enough. I don't know how to do that. National Sober Day. That's why we have Go Sober. National Virginia Day. I don't know if that's the state or just for women named Virginia. Either way, I hope you have a lovely day. And National Ants on a Log Day. Did you make that up? That's a thing? National Ants on a Log Day. Someone needs to look that up and tell me what it is. I'm too lazy.
Well, it's peanut butter in a celery stick covered with raisins.
It is? Really? Am I the only person who doesn't know that? Shannon says yes. By the way, you didn't hit the producer Shannon button. And I think
short timer, who cares?
Yeah. Wait, first you got to introduce yourself.
Producer Shannon.
Okay, say that again. Now, what ants on a log is?
It, to the best of my knowledge, is a celery stick with peanut butter filled into the gap, covered with raisins.
Wow. All right. In 6 years on the radio, I haven't really said this because there's been a lot of focus on bell pepper, but celery's not good either. It's not as bad as bell pepper. It's closer to harmless than bell pepper is, but it's still not good. And it does tend to ruin the flavor of things. So I'm out on ants on a log. Maybe I'll just eat the ants and someone else can have the log.
Hey.
What?
Before you leave, let's get Shannon Bream on again, even for a short interview.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Just because I love this.
Producer Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like her to be more upset with me. Producer Shannon.
That's funny. I bet she would do that for you. It would be really funny to have someone as wholesome as Shannon Bream do that with a sort of scolding tone, like you really let her down, like you did something naughty. Yeah.
Producer Shannon.
Yeah, like that. Oh, I doubt I can get her this week that fast, but I will try. I will do my very best to do this for you.
Producer Shannon.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so good. I'm not going to tell her any of that if I can get to her. I'm not going to tell her any of that. All right, let me share this story with you that I promised you, which is almost as funny as as producer Shannon playing a fart sound and then imagining Shannon Bream's response to it, which is pretty darn funny. I find myself frequently recommending to you Barry Weiss, Bari, Weiss. She's got her own Substack, if you know what that is. But anyway, barryweiss.substack.com. It's basically like a blog, newsletter kind of thing. And she does her own writing, but she also brings the writings of other people over there. And it's just great. Barry Weiss is a liberal in the old school sense of liberal, what a liberal used to be in the United States of America. And she despises the wokeness and cancel culture and silencing of the woke radical left. And she posted a piece written by a professor named Peter Boghossian, philosophy professor until recently, at Portland State University, which you can imagine would be one of the wokest places around. And he sent a letter to the school's provost, which Barry Weiss published on her site, and I want to share it with you. And I promise you, this will get back to what I mentioned in the tease going into the break about the conceptual penis as a social construct. Just wait. Here we go. Dear Provost Susan Jeffords, I'm writing to you today to resign as assistant professor of philosophy at Portland State University. Over the last decade, it's been my privilege to teach at the university. My specialties are critical thinking, ethics, and the Socratic method, and I teach classes like science and pseudoscience and the philosophy of education. But in addition to exploring classic philosophers and traditional texts, I've invited a wide range of guest lecturers to address my classes, from flat earthers to Christian apologists to global climate skeptics to Occupy Wall Street advocates. I'm proud of my work. I invited those speakers not because I agreed with their worldviews, but primarily because I didn't. From those messy and difficult conversations, I've seen the best of what our students can achieve. Questioning beliefs while respecting believers, staying even-tempered in challenging circumstances, and even changing their minds. I never once believed, nor do I now, that the purpose of instruction was to lead my students to a particular conclusion. Rather, I sought to create the conditions for rigorous thought, to help them gain the tools to hunt and furrow for their own conclusions. This is why I became a teacher and why I love teaching. But brick by brick, the university has made this kind of intellectual exploration impossible. It has transformed a bastion of free inquiry into a social justice factory whose only inputs were race, gender, and victimhood, and whose only outputs were grievance and division. That's one of the best sentences I've ever read. Can I just read that one more time and then I'll continue? It has transformed a bastion of free inquiry into a social justice factory whose only inputs were race, gender, and victimhood, and whose only outputs were grievance and division. If I ever wrote a sentence that good, I would just stop writing. Gosh, that's good. All right, I continue. Students at Portland State are not being taught to think. Rather, they are being trained to mimic the moral certainty of ideologues. Faculty and administrators have abdicated the university's truth-seeking mission and instead drive intolerance of divergent beliefs and opinions. This has created a culture of offense, where students are now afraid to speak openly and honestly. I noted signs of the illiberalism that has now fully swallowed the academy. Quite early during my times at Portland State, I witnessed students refusing to engage with different points of view, questions from faculty at diversity trainings that challenged approved narratives were instantly dismissed. Those who asked for evidence to justify new institutional policies were accused of microaggressions, and professors were accused of bigotry for assigning canonical texts written by philosophers who happened to have been European and male. At first, I didn't realize how systemic this was, and I believed I could question this new culture. So I began asking questions. What is the evidence that trigger warnings and safe spaces contribute to student learning? Why should racial consciousness be the lens through which we view our role as educators? How did we decide that cultural appropriation is immoral? Unlike my colleagues, I asked these questions out loud and in public. I decided to study the new values that were engulfing Portland State and so many other educational institutions, values that sound wonderful, like diversity, equity, and inclusion, but might actually be just the opposite. The more I read the primary source material produced by critical theorists, the more I suspected that their conclusions reflected the postulates of an ideology, not insights based on evidence. I began networking with student groups who had similar concerns and brought in speakers to explore these subjects from a critical perspective, and it became increasingly clear to me that the incidents of illiberalism I had witnessed over the years were not just isolated events, but part of an institution-wide problem. The more I spoke out on these issues, the more retaliation I faced. Early in the 2016-17 academic year, a former student complained about me, and the university initiated a Title IX investigation. Title IX investigations are part of a federal law designed to protect, quote, people from discrimination based on sex in education programs or activities that receive federal financial assistance, end quote. My accuser, a white male, made a slew of baseless accusations against me which university confidentiality rules unfortunately prohibit me from discussing further. What I can share is that students of mine who were interviewed during the process told me the Title IX investigator asked them if they knew anything about me beating my wife and children. This horrifying accusation soon became a widespread rumor. With Title IX investigations, there's no due process, and I didn't have the opportunity to access the particular accusations, the ability to confront my accuser, and I had no opportunity to defend myself. Finally, the results of the investigation revealed in December 2017. Here are the last two sentences of the report. Quote, Global Diversity and Inclusion finds there is insufficient evidence that Boghossian violated PSU's prohibited discrimination and harassment policy. GDI recommends Boghossian receive coaching. End quote. Not only was there no apology for the false accusations, but the investigator told me that in the future I was not allowed to render my opinion about, quote, protected classes, or teach in such a way that my opinion about protected classes could be known, a bizarre conclusion to absurd charges. Universities can enforce ideological conformity just through the threat of these investigations. I eventually became convinced that corrupted bodies of scholarship were responsible for justifying radical departures from the traditional role of liberal arts schools and basic civility on campus. This story is just unbelievable. There was an urgent need to demonstrate that morally fashionable papers, no matter how absurd, could be published. I believed then that if I exposed the theoretical flaws of this body of literature, I could help the university community avoid building edifices on such shaky ground. So in 2017, I co-published an intentionally garbled peer-reviewed paper. So this thing got through peer review. You understand what that means, right? It goes to these experts who read the paper and decide whether it's worthy of publication in the magazine. An intentionally garbled, peer-reviewed paper that took aim at a new orthodoxy. Its title, The Conceptual Penis as a Social Construct. Now, let me take a second and move away from the article that I'm reading and go over for a second to the actual published paper of that title and just read the introductory abstract to you to give you a sense of how this guy was screwing with people. Because it's brilliant. Ready? Anatomical penises may exist, but as preoperative transgendered women also have anatomical penises, the penis vis-a-vis maleness is an incoherent construct. We argue that the conceptual penis is better understood not as an anatomical organ, but as a social construct isomorphic to performative toxic masculinity. Through detailed post-structuralist discursive criticism and the example of climate change, this paper will challenge the prevailing and damaging social trope that penises are best understood as the male sexual organ and reassign it a more fitting role as a type of masculine performance. That is freaking fantastic. That uses like every leftist buzzword and stupid concept and even gets climate change in there. Is that not amazing? This, by the way, this is a 7-page paper with references and just all kinds of stuff. It is fantastic. Brilliant. Now back to the letter that he wrote to the provost of the university. This example of pseudo-scholarship, which was published in Cogent Social Sciences magazine, argued that penises were products of the human mind and responsible for climate change. Immediately thereafter, I revealed the article as a hoax designed to shed light on the flaws of the peer review and academic publishing systems. Shortly thereafter, swastikas in the bathroom with my name under them began appearing in the 2 bathrooms near the philosophy department. They also occasionally showed up on my office door, in one instance accompanied by a bag of feces. Our university remained silent. When it acted, it was against me, not the perpetrators. I continued to believe, perhaps naively, that if I exposed the flawed thinking on which Portland State's new values were based, I could shake the university from its madness. In 2018, I co-published a series of absurd or morally repugnant peer-reviewed articles in journals that focused on issues of race and gender. In one of them, we argued that there was an epidemic of dog rape at dog parks and proposed that we leash men the way we leash dogs. Our purpose was to show that certain kinds of quote-unquote scholarship are based not on finding truth, but on advancing social grievances. This worldview is not scientific and it is not rigorous. Administrators and faculty were so angered by the papers that they published an anonymous piece in the student newspaper, and Portland State filed formal charges against me. Their accusation? Research misconduct based on the absurd premise that the journal editors who accepted our intentionally deranged articles were, quote, human subjects. I was found guilty of not receiving approval to experiment on human subjects. All right, I'll tell you what. There's a good bit more of this, and I don't want to have to rush it. I'm going to hit a short break here, and when we come back, I'm going to share the rest of this with you. I promise you it is continually unbelievable. Literally unbelievable. This is the world we live in today. And I'll share the rest of it with you right after these brief words here on 630 KHOW.
KHOW Denver, 630 KHOW. An iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts. All in one. Now, Impact Traffic.
From the DuckDuckGo Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast.
How is it finally crash-free? A lot of traffic to fight through out here. We are busy. Checking the I-70 drive, eastbound 70, loaded up from Federal to Brighton Boulevard. Slowing down through the construction. Should have no trouble, though, continuing to DIA. Westbound 70 on the brakes between Airport Boulevard and 225. Now, 225, pretty heavy and slow on that southbound side from Iliff into the Tech Center. Did have an accident down past Parker Road. That has been cleared. Fox 81 pinpoint weather. Cold front moving through today. Partly sunny, a 30% chance for scattered thunderstorms with a high of 79. Currently 59 degrees. Impacting your drive to work, Susan Phelan, 630 KHOW.
What's the deal? $1.99 breakfast croissants. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a sausage or bacon, egg, and Swiss croissant for just $1.99. Fresh cracked eggs, oven-baked bacon, grilled sausage, all on a hot, buttery, flaky croissant. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary.
You know, if you're going to move your business, you've really got to pick the right moving company. And the right moving company is Bueller Moving and Storage. Whether you're moving a business, you know, a few miles, a few hundred miles, a few thousand miles around the globe, they can do it. Whether it's a small-ish business, whether it's huge, maybe you've got advanced, expensive equipment. They can manage all of this, and they will do it all in a way that is designed to minimize disruption to your business and to get you set up in the new place as quickly as possible, including with just little things like helping you get your computer set up and making sure that the USB connections and the monitor connections are good and stuff like that, right? The big things and the little things. By the way, this is a very narrow kind of thing, but if you're moving a medical facility, even a whole hospital, they can do that too. I want you to get started at BuehlerCompanies.com, BUEHLER Companies.com, and please do tell them Ross sent you.
The biggest stars from all genres of music will share one stage at our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Coming to you from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
2 nights of performances you've never seen before. Streaming free on the CW app and CWTV.com. And listen on iHeartRadio this Friday and Saturday, starting at 8 p.m.
Capital One is a proud partner of the 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival, bringing great products, rewards, and services to their customers. What's in your wallet?
If you're within 5 years of retirement, you can't afford to miss Allworth Financial's Retirement Planning Workshop, featuring the 7-step process that's helped thousands plan well and avoid mistakes that can permanently derail retirement. Join us in Broomfield, Lakewood, Boulder, Highlands Ranch, or virtually September 18th to the 25th. There's no cost, but space is limited. Register for a 7 personal decision points retirement planning workshop at 866-807-4250 or visit allworthfinancial.com/workshop.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. Have you been thinking about selling your home? If you want the most money, call the agent that I would call, Troy Hansford. Troy sells more houses for more money than anyone in Denver. And his secret is a unique marketing system that's proven to get his clients the most money. Troy is so confident in his system that he will make you this guarantee. He'll sell your house at your price, or he'll write you a check for $5,000. Now, here's how it works. You just meet with Troy, you agree on a price and a timeline, and if he can't get you that price, he'll pay you $5,000 guaranteed. Troy Hansford, he spends tens of thousands on marketing to generate demand for your home. Troy has hundreds of approved home buyers looking for houses, and they might be a buyer for your home right now. So give Troy a call at 720-900-4433. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy will buy your house for all cash, and he can close in 7 days. So call Troy Hansford. Get more money at 720-900-4433. 720-900-4433.
Troy Hansford, RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Ross, and I know how much you love 630 KHOW. Wherever there's a radio, you have us on. But what happens when there isn't a radio around? It's why we created the free iHeartRadio app. If you have a phone and the iHeartRadio app, you have 630 KHOW and thousands of other stations from cities across the globe, along with podcasts, literally thousands of them, like the fantastic Ross Kaminsky podcast or Crime Junkie in the Daily, only on iHeartRadio, #1 for music, radio, and podcasting, all in one app.
At the Honda Summer Sales Event, one summer adventure leads to another. Start with a new Honda and be on your way to desert treks, lakeside getaways, and mountain paths so remote you need an actual map. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get 1.9% APR on the 2021 Honda Accord and 0% APR on the 2021 HR-V or Pilot.
Contact your local Colorado Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details.
In life, we're always looking for an advantage, and the same goes with real estate. That's why I recommend Frank Duran, therealestateman.com.
With our advanced motivational marketing systems, we give you a very unique advantage in the Denver real estate market. It's simply the most innovative and proactive marketing plan you will find anywhere.
I'm consumer advocate Tom Martino, urging you to use Frank Duran, therealestateman.com with RE/MAX Alliance, 303-920-1622.
Hey there, homeowners. Are you experiencing pipe leaks? Is your water bill unexpectedly high? Or are you suffering from low water pressure? These are signs of widespread pipe failure due to old, corroded, and shoddy pipes. Rerouting a pipe or other Band-Aid fixes are not the answer. Only a whole house repipe with brand new high-quality PEX or copper will permanently solve the problem. Repipe Specialists. No more leaks and great water pressure. They've been doing this for over 25 years, serving over 40,000 happy customers. Repipe in just 1 to 2 days at half the cost of a plumber with a lifetime guarantee. So say goodbye to leaks once and for all. Enjoy a pipe leak-free home and eliminate the risk of potential water damage. Call us today for your free in-home estimate. We'll even take 20% off our already low price and receive 0% interest when you call today. 720-573-0086. 720-573-0086. That's 720-573-0086.
So if you've thought about buying a hot tub, really anytime in the past several months, if you've done some homework, maybe you've gone someplace to look at a hot tub, what you probably found was they wanted some number of thousands of dollars as a down payment, And then they gave you a delivery date. Let's say you went ahead with this. They give you a delivery date that's 2 months out, right? Then you get a month and a half out, and they say, sorry, we don't have them. Because their hot tubs are coming from China. And now you're 2 months out, 3 months out, 4 months out. Now they say, oh, it's another 3 months out. Right? And you say, I want my deposit back. Sorry, you can't have that. There have even been some cases where some of these hot tub companies, because they can't get any supply, they go out of business, and they've kept your deposit. Wind River Spas are made in Colorado. It's the only hot tub made in Colorado. If you want to get yourself locked in for production, you can either go over to Wind River Spas showroom in Englewood, or you can go right online to windriverspas.com and build and price your own. Guess how much your deposit is to lock in a production date? $50. $50. And there are no strings. They're not going to come back to you and say, we want another $2,000 or whatever. $50 locks in your production date. You know why? Because they know that if you flake out near the end and don't take your Wind River Spa, someone else will take it. Now, I will tell you, they're several months out before you will get delivery. But I'll also tell you that you will get delivery on the day they tell you. They'll tell you when you place your order. Let's say you place your order today and they say you're going to get delivery on January 13th. I'm making up a date. You will get delivery that day. So please, we're on our second Wind River Spa. We love them. I want you to get started at windriverspas.com.
This report is sponsored by Allstate.
I'm meteorologist Carly Cassidy with your pinpoint weather forecast. Nice and cool morning with the upper 70s this afternoon. Mix of sun and clouds, then scattered storm chance afternoon, evening with some gusty winds.
Looking to save money this year? Look at Allstate. You can get the protection you need at the low rate you want. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Now, The Ross Report on Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW.
Senator Joe Manchin is not caving in, despite tweets by the ignorant but popular radical Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Senator Manchin of West Virginia says he will not vote for the Democrats' $3.5 trillion spending bill. AOC said that Manchin is basically owned by Exxon and the oil and gas lobby. Manchin says that's simply not true, and his opposition to the insane amount of spending is because, and I quote, it just makes no sense, end quote. Now, Manchin has said that he would support maybe $1 trillion, maybe $1.5 trillion of spending, and that's on top of the more than $1 trillion infrastructure bill that is fairly likely to get through Congress. But here's the thing. Progressives in the House have said that they will not vote for the actual infrastructure bill unless they also get a vote on a massive fake infrastructure bill that expands the welfare state. But what happens if the progressives say that a $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion bill isn't enough? At that point, the original infrastructure bill could pass, but only if Nancy Pelosi actually lets it come up for a vote. This could go so many ways, and many of them are bad for Democrats. It's time to just grab the popcorn and, if I can mix metaphors, hold on for the ride. And that's today's Ross Report, brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. If you're coming back into the job market for whatever reason, and you are an HVAC tech with a little bit of experience or a lot of experience, L&L would love to talk to you if you'd be interested in being part of their fantastic team. They've been serving customers with all kinds of HVAC services around the Denver metro area for more than 30 years, and they are looking for talented, committed team members. I want you to learn more at bestdenverhvac.com.
It's the Dan Kapla Show. Afternoons 4 to 6.
I'm happily double vaxxed, but are these mandates running a lot of good people out of law enforcement, firefighting, and the medical profession? We just saw a hospital out of state have to stop delivering babies because so many medical professionals had quit over the mandate. Join me.
But now and then I go to a party, get drunk, and the next morning I can't, for the life of me, remember what I did with it. First I looked around my apartment and I couldn't find it. So I called up the place where the party was, they hadn't seen it either. I asked them to check the medicine cabinet, cause for some reason I leave it there sometimes, but not this time. So I told them if it pops up to let me know. I called a few people who were at the party, but they were no help either. I was starting to get desperate.
Oh my gosh.
I really don't like being without my penis for too long.
Oh my gosh. If the dude who wrote the lyrics for King Missile were writing fake academic papers, they'd be writing exactly what former Portland State philosophy professor Peter Boghossian wrote. I shared it with you in the last segment, the conceptual penis as a social construct. I'm sharing with you a letter that was published at Barry Weiss's Substack by Peter Boghossian announcing his resignation from Portland State University. I'm not going to read all of it again. I'm going to continue where I left off. But the first part, he was talking about how he had recognized the increasing lack of tolerance of new ideas, diversity of thought at his university, and he tried to prove how some of this so-called scholarship was really just a bunch of junk. He said, after he published that ridiculous penis thing, intentionally ridiculous, he said, I continued to believe that if I exposed the flawed thinking on which Portland State's new values were based, I could shake the university from its madness. I'm just sharing this one part over again. In 2018, I co-published a series of absurd or morally repugnant peer-reviewed articles in journals that focused on issues of race and gender. In one of them, we argued that there was an epidemic of dog rape at dog parks, and we proposed that we leash men the way we leash dogs. Our purpose was to show that certain kinds of so-called scholarship are not based on finding truth, but on advancing social grievances. Administrators and faculty were so angered by the papers that they published an anonymous piece in the student paper, and Portland State filed formal charges against me, accusing me of research misconduct based on the absurd premise that the journal editors who accepted our intentionally deranged articles were human subjects. I was found guilty of not receiving approval to experiment on human subjects. Meanwhile, ideological intolerance continued to grow at Portland State. In March 2018, a tenured professor disrupted a public discussion I was holding with author Christina Hoff Sommers and evolutionary biologists Brett Weinstein and Heather Haying. In June 2018, someone triggered the fire alarm during my conversation with popular cultural critic Carl Benjamin. In October 2018, an activist pulled out the speaker wires to interrupt a panel with former Google engineer James Damore. The university did nothing to stop or address this behavior. No one was punished or disciplined. For me, the years that followed were marked by continued harassment. I'd find flyers around campus of me with a Pinocchio nose. I was spit on and threatened by passersby while walking to class. I was informed by students that my colleagues were telling them to avoid my classes. And of course, I was subjected to more investigation. I wish I could say that what I'm describing hasn't taken a personal toll, but it has taken exactly the toll it was intended to. An increasingly intolerable work life and without the protection of tenure. This isn't about me. This is about the kind of institutions we want and the values we choose. Every idea that has advanced human freedom has always and without fail been initially condemned. As individuals, we often seem incapable of remembering this lesson, but that is exactly what our institutions are for, to remind us that the freedom to question is our fundamental right. Educational institutions should remind us that that right is also our duty. Portland State University has failed in fulfilling this duty. In doing so, it has failed not only its students, but the public that supports it. While I am grateful for the opportunity to have taught at Portland State for over a decade, it has become clear to me that this institution is no place for people who intend to think freely and explore ideas. This is not the outcome I wanted, but I feel morally obligated to make this choice. For 10 years, I've taught my students the importance of living by your principles. One of mine is to defend our system of liberal education from those who seek to destroy it. Who would I be if I didn't? Sincerely, Peter Boghossian. That is posted at Barry Weiss, BarryWeiss.substack.com if you want to read it for yourself. I'm sure if you look for Portland State resignation or something easy to remember like that, you will find this letter as well. I don't think you need me to analyze this a lot for you. I think it pretty much speaks for itself. But the one thing that I would add is that you got to wonder what university degrees are worth now, especially from a place like Portland State, right? A small-ish school with a reputation for wokeness. If I were an employer looking to hire somebody, knowing that Portland State is this kind of place, by which I don't mean a place that's very liberal. That's a different thing. Most colleges are quite liberal, but rather a place that teaches students to be intolerant and closed-minded and angry and to spit on people with whom they disagree, even if they probably don't understand why they disagree with them. They were just told to disagree. I would never in a million years hire somebody who came to me with a diploma from Portland State University. Would you? Would you? I don't think so. And there's more and more states like this, more and more schools like this. And until the schools realize that they are destroying themselves by caving into the woke left, including to woke radical leftist students who should be told to sit down and shut up when it comes to how the university is going to be run, right? When students say, you can't talk because we disagree with you, those students should be told to sit down, shut up, and listen, because maybe you'll learn something. And words are not violence, and being required to hear something you disagree with is not a form of assault against you. They don't seem to understand it. But these kids are going to be the ones getting out there, trying to get jobs, and maybe, heaven forbid, in positions of influence, power one day. Not that likely, but could happen. And they're going to ruin everything they touch, just like the woke left already is. When we come back, I want to tell you about a really, really ridiculous thing that my wife, Kristen, is doing. I don't even know how to start, but I'll tell you about it right after this.
Listen to us on your radio, on your desktop, and on your smart device. Denver's talk station is available everywhere, in your car, at work, and wherever you go. All you need is our free iHeartRadio app. Just say, play 630 KHOW on iHeartRadio.